I've got a massive lump in my throat. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to share with you a few beginner friendly fabrics to start your sewing projects with. And I am going to go through some beginner stretch fabrics as well, just because I think that would be helpful. It's one thing that we found in the sewing school is people were really afraid of trying different fabrics. And I do think that when you first start out, because there's so much to learn and so much to remember, picking a fabric that's really easy to deal with and for your machine to sew with will just save a lot of stress at the beginning, so you can learn all the other aspects first before you then start playing with different fabrics and, you know, worrying about changing your needle types and all that sort of thing. So I just thought I'd show you a few different fabrics that if you're just starting out, these are the fabrics I'd recommend. So the first one is pretty obvious. It's the quilting cotton or the craft cotton. So it's the common fabric that you'll find in a fat quarter pack in like Hobbycraft, things like that. In fact, this one is actually a Hobbycraft fat quarter. Generally they're just a really nice weight, so I'd expect a quilting cotton to be anywhere between 115 grams per square meter to 130. So if you ever see on a fabric listing a number and then GSM, it means grams per square meter, and that is the weight of the fabric. And it's also the weight and the density. So you can sort of tell, once you get sort of like good at recognizing things, you can sort of tell which one online is going to be weightier than the other. Also look at the pictures. I actually have a Fabric 101 video on my YouTube channel, which I will link below, or I might put up as a little card here, so you can go watch that, so that if you want to learn more about fabrics and shopping for fabrics online, that video will be really helpful. Anyway, this is quilting or craft cotton. It's basically what I would say every beginner needs. Your machine will handle it really easily. You don't need to change any fancy needles. You can use your universal needles. It holds its shape. It's easy to cut. It's easy to sew with. It's just easy. So quilting cotton, craft cotton, that is the #1 beginner friendly fabric. Now, if you are starting out with some dressmaking, and you are a bit bored of cotton, say you've made a few things in cotton and you just want to try something different that's not going to be too tricky, linen. In my opinion, maybe even slightly easier than cotton. It looks nice, it handles well. Anything that you make in a pattern will always look, in my opinion, quite high-end in linen. Some people really don't like linen because it creases. Try and go for a wash linen or an enzyme wash linen, or a stone wash linen. They will have slightly more movement in it. It will still be easy to sew, it will still be really easy to handle and cut, but it won't be quite so stiff. So when you actually wear it, it's a bit softer to wear and softer on your skin. And I tend to find those ones don't crease as much as like the rigid linens do. So a wash linen, any wash, doesn't matter what wash it is, wash linen, get that one. Most linens will be between 170 to 230 grams per square meter, depending on the type. If you're making something quite flowy, I'd go for less grams per square meter. If you're making like a jacket or something, go for higher. But linen is another really underrated fabric, in my opinion, and not enough people use it. I'm a huge fan of linen and I wear it all the time and I sew with it all the time. It's beautiful. Okay, now you're carrying on with your dressmaking. You've done some cottons, you like the patterns, you've done some linens, and then you think, I want to do something really wacky. You go for the African wax prints. One, because they always have really beautiful colours and patterns. So if you are a fan of pattern, definitely it's the fabric for you. They are very easy to cut and easy to sew with. They're a bit like a weightier, more rigid cotton. Weight-wise, they are still around the 120 mark. Some a little bit higher, some little bit lower. And also, they're not actually wax coated. So it's not actually covered in wax. They're called wax prints because of the way that they're made. So Mum told me this. So if this is wrong, you can blame her. So when they actually do the different colours, they cover, say they've dyed this fabric navy, then they cover the navy in wax and then do the next colour, and then they cover that in wax and then do the next colour, and that's how they get the different relief prints on it. Very interesting. So it's not waxy. Don't think that you're going to wear it, it's going to be all oily and you're going to have to wash it differently. It's not. It's just the way it's made. It's just very easy to sew with. So if you like, I don't know, big skirts or some like wide leg trousers, I think this will be perfect fabric for you if you like colour and patterns. Okay, so a couple of stretch fabrics if you are a beginner and you've done some woven fabric things but you want to go into more stretch fabrics. Cotton blend jerseys are going to be your best friend. Some will be slinkier than others. Steer away from viscose blends, bamboo, because they will be a little bit thinner and a little flimsier. So if you're really starting out and you are a bit nervous of sewing with stretch, my number one fabric for you is a Pontoroma. It holds its shape well, it's very easy to sew. You will need to still change your needle. You want a stretch or a ballpoint needle, but it's easy to cut. It's not as sort of flimsy and movable, so it's slightly less scary. It also holds its structure a bit more, so you have less risk of it stretching out or you overstretching it when you're sewing, so it's quite good to practice with on a Pontoroma. And it sort of holds its shape a bit better, so it's not going to sort of like be a slinky wearable item. It's going to be more of a structured shape. So things like the Tilly and the Buttons Cocoa, one of my number one beginner patterns, if you use that and a Pontoroma, you will produce a beautiful top or dress. It will be a great way of you getting into your stretch fabrics journey. Pontoromas do have a higher GSM, so you're sort of looking in the above the 300s mark. So don't be like, oh, it is a little bit thicker, but it is weightier, and that's why it's got such a high GSM. But I promise you, it'll be worth it. The other stretch fabric that a lot of people get a bit scared of is like a French terry. Again, it can have a bit more movement. It's got a bit more stretch to it than a Pontoroma, but just as easy to cut and sew because it's got a little bit of a thicker structure. You either get a brushed cotton back French terry like this, or a loop back French terry, so it's got little loops instead. This one's a brushed back French terry. Because of that, they do just hold their shape a bit better. This one's actually really cute. I made a jumper for my goddaughter in this. It's got dodos on it. It's a little bit less GSM than the Pontoroma, so you're probably looking at 270-ish mark. Makes great tops, great jumpers, really cozy like pajamas or trousers for kids. But another easy stretch fabric that you can cut and sew on your machine very easily. So those are my I know it's a very quick video. Those are my basic beginner fabrics just to help you out if you're starting on your sewing journey. Craft cotton though is my number one, so definitely go to your local like fabric shops or just anywhere that has fabric. Most fabric shops will always have quilting or craft cottons because they're the most popular fabric in the world. So definitely check out your local fabric stores. If not, shop online. It will be called quilting cotton, craft cotton, anything like that. Hobbycraft, they sell fat quarters. They're not gonna, you basically don't want to spend loads of money when you're starting out because a few of the things that you make at the beginning, you know, you might make mistakes, and that's the whole purpose of practice. You are going to make mistakes. So quilting and craft cottons are my number one fabric. So I hope this video was useful to you. So give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Make sure you comment below if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer any questions. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and I will see you next week for another video. Happy handmade, everyone.